Chapter 1. The CEO falls for the Cinderella intern. It was the love story that captivated everyone that year. But those who envied the Cinderella never knew how tragically she died. That night, I had a high fever, but he insisted I attend his friend's birthday party. Nancy, he's been my best friend for over 10 years. You can't just refuse to go. Thinking of how good he'd been to me, I reluctantly got into his car. At the party, his friends teased him, calling him henpecked. He vehemently denied it, and when we left, he made me kneel to put on his shoes. Ethan, I really don't feel well. I can't squat down. As laughter echoed around us, he stared at me for a moment, like a volcano on the verge of eruption. It's fine. I was just joking. Though he said that, I knew he was angry. Sure enough, shortly after leaving the villa, he exploded. On the dark mountain road, the car sped up and I was terrified. Ethan, slow down. This is too dangerous. He snorted. This is how I drive. If you can't handle it, don't ride with me. With that, he pulled me out of the car, leaving my phone behind. The mountain night was bone-chilling, and as I walked, my fever worsened. Hearing a car approaching, I mistook the license plate. I thought it was one of Ethan's friends. So I stood by the roadside and the car stopped. I don't remember much after that. I can't recall how many people there were or how long they tormented me. The only thing I remember is that no one came to find me until dawn, even though they were right there assaulting me by the roadside. When they finally threw me down the mountain, the sky was just beginning to lighten, and he never showed up. When I woke up, I was lying in a bathtub. The water was blood red, nearly drowning me. Staggering out of the bathroom, clutching my wounded wrist, I saw him, passed out drunk on the living room sofa. I wanted to kill him then and there, but my bleeding wrist wouldn't allow it. Struggling to call an ambulance, I collapsed in front of him. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital room. I looked in the mirror and saw Mia's face, a rich girl who had always envied me for being with Ethan. I looked at the ring on my left hand and slowly pieced together the timeline. Shortly after my death, he married Mia under his parents' arrangement, and Mia ended her life in the bathtub on the day I was reborn. It was their first wedding anniversary. Mia's parents filled in the gaps for me. Apparently, Ethan kept saying he couldn't forget me. He publicly declared his deep love for me while relentlessly tormenting Mia. I checked the time. It had been 2 days since Mia was admitted to the hospital. He hadn't visited once. Daughter, listen to your parents and divorce Ethan. No need, Dad, Mom. I love being his wife. Seeing their worried expressions, I hugged them. Leaning on their shoulders, I laughed from the bottom of my heart. Ethan's housekeeper wasn't surprised and brought me meals daily. Roy, is he still not sober? Madam, Roy said calmly. Sir is very busy with work. I wasn't surprised. After all, Mia's wrists bore many scars. Some deep, some shallow. This time Mia had finally succeeded. Ignoring my parents' pleas, I soon had Roy take me home. Mia and Ethan's home, also his tomb. Chapter 2. With my wrists wrapped in bandages, I prepared a 3-course meal with soup for him. Without waiting for Roy's reminder, I took the lunchbox directly to his office. Mia, how many times are you going to use this trick? No matter what new schemes you come up with, I'll only ever love Nancy. To him, Mia's suffering was merely a ploy to win his affection. I just smiled and set the food on his desk. Try it. I made it just for you. How is it? To your taste. He barely took 2 bites before setting his chopsticks down. Far from Nancy's cooking. I couldn't hold back a laugh. After all, I am Nancy. I had made the exact dishes he claimed to love as Nancy's specialty. Yet he couldn't recognize it. Before coming here, I even thought he might remember something of our past. Now I see it was just wishful thinking. He never loved me. He loved a symbol, a Nancy that embodied his fantasy of devotion. Without needing to be shown the door, I left the lunchbox and walked out of the office. Returning to my parents' home, I gazed at the empty house, lost in thought. I knocked on a neighbor's door, learning that my parents had refused Ethan's financial help and even intended to sue him for attempted murder. They had sold the house to fund the lawsuit. After much searching, I finally found them. The constant struggles had drained them, and now they lay bedridden in a cramped 10-square-meter rental with no money for treatment, awaiting death. The weight of the family had fallen onto my sister, who had barely started college. I slipped some money through the door and went to find her, working part-time at a restaurant. "Zoe, I heard you dropped out," I said after her colleague pointed her out. She looked at me with wary eyes. Taking off my sunglasses, I revealed my red, tear-stained eyes. "It's me, your sister." After a lot of convincing, she finally stopped seeing me as a mental case. When I recounted all the events from our lives, she broke down and believed me. Since she had only recently dropped out, I was able to help her re-enroll in school. Ethan? That arrogant bastard. I never want to see him again. Seeing her righteous anger, I smiled. If he wants to give, why shouldn't we take? Not long after, Ethan's company gained a new intern. Under my guidance, Zoe now carried herself with at least 70 to 80% of my mannerisms. With the identity of Nancy's sister, she was quickly transferred to the secretarial department, where she handled trivial tasks. The first week, Ethan joined her for lunch, asking if she was comfortable with her work. By the end of the month, he was already worrying about her daily needs, and even offered her a supplementary credit card. "Sis, Ethan is lower than trash," she fumed one evening, stuffing her mouth with food. I didn't blame her for being so riled up. After all, that was how my ill-fated relationship with Ethan began. Even the gifts he gave were the same. As she ranted about him, I had to laugh, wiping food from her mouth. "Don't worry. I won't let you endure this for long." Before long, my sister held a position in the company similar to what I had once had. The sharp-eyed couldn't help but notice. Although Ethan was a CEO, his position was inherited. Though he was technically a graduate of a prestigious overseas university, everyone knew that his parents had to donate a building for his admission. Even the employees and shareholders resented his pompous CEO persona. My sister's presence quickly stirred up quite a commotion in the company. Chapter 3. I didn't need to make much effort. Invitations from shareholders' wives soon poured in. I chose a few important ones to attend. Whatever the pretense, their words were always about how I should keep my family in check and support the company. Feigning ignorance, I played along, pretending not to understand. Soon, a shareholders' meeting was called. After it ended, Ethan did something unusual. He came home. "Mia, as my wife, you're smearing my reputation left and right. What do you hope to gain?" In response to his furious questioning, I launched into tears, playing my crying act. Before I could finish a tissue box, he stormed out again. Moments later, my sister called. Sure enough, he had gone to see her. Following my instructions, she said exactly what she needed to. "Ethan, I can't let you in. For my sister's memory, if nothing else. Besides, you have a wife." After she finished, I had her give him a hug. That single hug disgusted her so much that she slammed and locked the door right after. But to Ethan, that small act only confirmed her deep love and concern for him. This back and forth went on for less than 2 weeks before Ethan couldn't hold back. "Mia, signed the divorce papers. It's best for both of us." I leisurely flipped through the papers, noting he didn't intend to leave me penniless, then opened my purse. First, I pulled out a stack of photos. They were pictures of him with various women. The most prominent ones, naturally, were with my sister. From that single hug alone, I had taken dozens of photos. "Mia!" He shot up, ripping off his tie. "You hired someone to spy on me?" I snorted. His philandering ways didn't need a hired investigator. It was plain from the photos. Each woman had some resemblance to the me of the past. And my sister had become his perfect substitute. The man everyone thought was a paragon of love, Ethan, was secretly a serial heartbreaker. Tell me, if I post these photos online, all those people who are moved to tears by your so-called devotion, do you think they'll trample you in disgust? He began to show signs of a breakdown, ripping off his tie and destroying everything within reach. I just sat there watching him put on his performance. Roy took his bleeding hand in hers, chiding me for not caring about our marriage. Hearing her talk about marital loyalty, I couldn't hold back a laugh. Roy, who had watched Ethan grow up, knew exactly how to fuel his ego. Mia would never have reached this point without her meddling. If Ethan cared about loyalty, would he have let Mia's hands be scarred like this? If he were half a man, when Mia attempted suicide in front of him, would he have done nothing? Ethan sneered. This is all about you wanting me to love you, isn't it? I thought I'd misheard. Even in a CEO novel, a line like that would be hard to write. Yet he said it with pride. Don't even think about it. You could never compare to Nancy. Hearing him speak my name, I burst out laughing. I am Nancy, standing right in front of him. Yet I had been reborn for so long and he still couldn't see it. His so-called love was truly shallow. All it took were a few words to make me his ideal, his one true love. No matter what he did, he could shift all blame onto his pure love for me. Chapter 4. My hysterical laughter stunned him. While Roy attended to his barely visible wound, she scolded me, calling me a madwoman. If you truly loved Nancy the way you claim, why did you leave her that night? I finally let my resentment slip. Slap! He lunged forward and struck me across the face. I crumpled onto the sofa. Had Roy not intervened, I have no doubt he would have strangled me on the spot. Mia, my relationship with Nancy is none of your concern. He then switched tactics, accusing me of being shameless, willing to do anything to win his affection. Roy nodded her agreement. A farmer's daughter like Nancy was a stain on our young master's reputation. Being with her was already beneath him. She died disgracefully, and it's still humiliating for the young master to be associated with her. Ethan signaled for Roy to stop. For a moment, I thought he might still have a shred of conscience. Nancy was just being difficult. Maybe I made a mistake spoiling her so much. Had it not been for the consequences of murder, I would have killed him right then. After he stormed out, my sister called me. Sis, what now? We keep feeding his ego. I held an ice pack to my face. Whatever he wants to do, let him do it. I contacted reporters and used Mia's family connections. By the next day, scandalous photos were splashed across every headline in the city. Shocking! Ethan Smith caught in red light scandal. Grieving lover seeks countless substitutes to relive romance with deceased girlfriend. The reporters had done an impressive job, spinning headlines that seized the public's attention. These lurid stories spread through the media like wildfire. Watching the company's stock spiral downwards, I couldn't help but laugh, face mask and all. As the scandal intensified, Ethan's friends quickly distanced themselves from him. Luckily for him, my sister took him in. To make sure he believed in her love, I staged several carefully orchestrated scenes. I caused public outbursts, while my sister maintained a gentle, nurturing demeanor. Naturally, this only made him desire a divorce, hoping my sister would take him in. His indifference to the company's well-being caused increasing frustration among the company's senior management. Ever since my parents passed, these senior staff have been undermining everything I do. But Ethan, you've brought the company so close to going public. Who's being unfair to you? My sister suggested rather bluntly. I thought he might catch on to the obvious manipulation, but he didn't. Instead, he soon issued notices firing the senior staff. He filled the vacancies with his old schoolmates. In construction, losing an occasional project isn't particularly unusual. But after a few months, Ethan started to notice that new projects were becoming few and far between. At this rate, forget going public, he would barely be able to keep the company's finances afloat. Outwardly, he maintained his calm facade, but soon enough he returned home. Mia. For the first time in a long while, he reached for my hand. I haven't visited your parents in ages. Let's go see them together. I had been tipped off by my sister. He was getting desperate for support, and I had already notified Mia's parents. While he put on his performance for me, they were on a flight to Europe. When I refused him, the forced smile on his face nearly collapsed. No problem, Mia. When they return, we'll pay our respects to them together. Seeing him struggle to mask his frustration while speaking gently to me, I felt a cold satisfaction. Losing a few projects was only the beginning. I had much more in store for him. With the public scandal continuing to brew, more details about his connection with my sister began to leak. Ethan, we should hold a press conference. Let my parents publicly clarify things. The rumors are getting out of hand. First, he refused outright. My parents had, after all, once tried to throw manure at him in public. Though they hadn't succeeded, the attempt left him with a lasting fear of them. But my sister, tearful and pleading, wore down his resistance. I arranged for my sister to bring up memories of when I was still around, letting him stew in sentimentality. Finally, I even prepared his favorite dishes and had my sister serve them. Ethan, I followed my sister's recipes exactly for this meal. He took a few bites, his face contorting into what I could only guess was an attempt at nostalgia. All right, this way they'll see we're in love. As he said this, my sister flashed him a smile before casting a sly look my way as I watched from my hiding spot. She mouthed the words, "Pathetic fool." I nodded in agreement. That night he returned home, asking for a divorce once again. All right. I accepted immediately. I'm tired of this endless torment. We agreed to wait until my parents returned from their trip to begin the process. And as a gesture of goodwill, I promised to help with the company's finances once they were back. He seemed taken aback by my sudden compliance, but my sister's soothing words had him letting his guard down again. Soon enough, the day of the press conference arrived. I had personally invited every media outlet in the city, from small bloggers to major news channels. As he finished his opening statement and waited for my sister to join him on stage, he was instead greeted by a fresh bucket of manure still steaming. My sister and I had ensured the timing was perfect, thoroughly learning from my parents' previous failed attempt. This time it drenched him from head to toe. For a brief moment the cameras froze, but then the shutters resumed at a rapid-fire pace. While he stood there in shock, the main screen behind him suddenly began playing a series of clips. These were candid interviews with the many women he'd hired to fill the void Nancy had left, each woman unabashedly exposing his true nature on camera. By the time the security guards managed to clear the scene, every journalist was scribbling frantically. And it didn't end there. Outside the company building, my sister had hung a white banner with bold black lettering. Ethan caused my sister to die in agony. As instructed, the reporters swarmed around her, eager for every sordid detail of Ethan's mistreatment of me. That night, Ethan went mad. No matter how much he tried to bribe the press, they kept releasing exposés on his scandals. To make matters worse, this all occurred during a critical phase for the company's IPO. Knowledge of the upcoming IPO was strictly confidential among company shareholders. Though Ethan's public image had taken a massive hit, people assumed that with a wealthy wife from an influential family, he'd survive the scandal. And when I hinted at my desire to divorce during casual conversations with shareholders' wives, it was as if a bomb had gone off within the company. Days later, he came home with bloodshot eyes. As he opened the door, I welcomed him with a warm embrace. "Mia, you have to believe me." Before he could utter any pre-planned excuse, I gently touched his face. "Ethan, don't worry. In times like these, I would never leave you." My Oscar-worthy performance nearly brought him to tears. Noticing that he was beginning to make advances, I quickly pushed him back. "Darling, it's that time of the month." Though visibly annoyed, he restrained himself, returning to his cordial self as the thought of the company crisis took over. Over the next few days, we acted the part of the ideal couple, fooling everyone around us. And as he gradually let his guard down, I could see a genuine softness in his eyes. I didn't stop him from attending social events or company dinners. "Darling, I know you're destined for great things. Go, do whatever you need to do." With the assurance that I would inject capital soon, he acted even more recklessly. Confident in his approach, he pressed ahead with the IPO plans. Until a strange illness suddenly took hold of him. Chapter 6. Honey, time for your medicine. He visited many hospitals and specialists, but no one could figure out his mysterious illness. As he grew weaker, I played the dutiful wife, feeding him medicine, caring for him meticulously. Naturally, he treated me better, even scolding Roy when she gave me a hard time. That night, during a company meeting, he suddenly vomited blood and collapsed. Rushing to the hospital, I found Roy already by his bedside. "Young master, Mia is just a pampered lady. She can't take care of you. Let me do it. No one knows your condition better than I do." Indeed, it would be hard for a stranger to poison Ethan. Roy was more ruthless than I imagined. In my past life as Nancy, I learned Roy had studied traditional medicine. I treated her like a second mother, never suspecting anything. But after my rebirth, I quickly figured it out. Roy's attitude wasn't like a mother-in-law's. It was more like a jealous lover's. This shocking thought took many tests to confirm. Before, Roy didn't care about Mia because she knew Ethan had no feelings for her. But now, seeing me become his soulmate, she couldn't stand it. She thought she knew him best after decades of care. With him drugged and me unable to help, she planned to step in and make him appreciate her. But her efforts were doomed to fail. Entering the hospital room, I showed him the residue from Roy's pot. "Honey, I found something in Roy's pot. The doctor said it could cause serious illness over time." Seeing Roy's panicked expression, he knew I was telling the truth. Roy didn't gain his gratitude. Instead, he kicked her out. After that, I became his most trusted person. Seeing the company's IPO timeline on his computer, I called Mia's parents. After his IPO press conference, I filed for divorce. To ensure everyone knew, I recorded a video. In the video, I showed Mia's psychological diagnosis after marriage. I also revealed the scars on my wrist and the medical report from when he slapped me. The investors he had lined up backed out after learning about our asset division. He rushed home to confront me, but Mia's parents had already taken me to a villa in the suburbs. I heard from company employees that the IPO plan had failed. Watching his dejected appearance on TV, I nodded. The climax of my plan was near. The failed IPO dealt a heavy blow to the company's fragile finances. Within weeks, he received numerous acquisition offers. Among the bidders were familiar faces, the senior employees he had fired. Chapter 7. At the time, he was blinded by my sister's flattery, seeing no one but himself. He swiftly dismissed the senior staff and replaced them with his old classmates. At first glance, the company seemed to function normally after the personnel changes. But those senior employees held crucial positions. His classmates, like him, were privileged kids who bought their degrees. In the company, these spoiled brats couldn't be bothered to do real work. That the company lasted this long under their management was surprising. I met with the dismissed senior staff one by one. In the construction industry, there's no high-tech involved. These veterans had extensive experience with bidding and tenders. They were my invaluable assets. First, I tearfully recounted Ethan's mistreatment. Then, I arranged a meeting with Mia's parents, fostering goodwill. The veterans quickly established a new company, and I became a major shareholder. Ethan was now at a dead end. The senior staff he had dismissed wouldn't miss this chance. "Ethan, we watched you grow up. Rest assured, our offer is the best you'll get in this city." Ethan was furious but knew they were right. Even so, his pride wouldn't let him accept. Hearing he turned down the offer, I wasn't surprised. A man who believed in his own fairy tale was waiting for a miracle, and a miracle did come. His company acquired a piece of land at a low price. Though cheap, it was the company's last hope. Rumors spread that the government planned to develop a new district on that land. Suddenly, he was back in the spotlight. His fair-weather friends invited him to events, hoping to benefit from his land. At the golf course, Roy was back by his side. He prided himself on being a gentleman, unlike Roy, who spat at me. "Mia, heaven is just. I won't be brought down by someone like you." His self-righteousness was laughable. As I walked away, he continued to mock me. Mia's friends arrived, ready to defend me. I held them back, glancing at Roy clinging to his arm, and left with a cold smile. "Mia, you're too kind. Scumbags should be publicly shamed." "Don't say that. Everyone has their fate." My friends thought I still had feelings for him. Only I knew I meant it. A few days later, the rumors changed. "The land is contaminated with heavy metals. No construction allowed." I heard the new district plan doesn't include that land. The government's official announcement confirmed it. The land was designated for heavy pollution remediation. Ethan's hopes of using the land to recover were dashed. No one wanted to buy it. He became the city's laughingstock again. Chapter 8. Desperate, he came to me asking me to buy his company. "Sure." I smiled at Roy's wary look. "Let's discuss it at the mountain villa tonight." He hesitated, then put on his arrogant facade, trying to charm me. Seeing Roy's furious eyes, I patted his shoulder. Leaving, I noticed Roy's clenched hands. I waited until nightfall to head to the villa where my tragedy had unfolded. Smiling, I pulled out a hidden camera. As expected, the place reeked of something foul. Following the sounds, I found Roy and him entangled in the bedroom. I quietly set up the camera, recording their actions. When I had enough footage, I fetched a bucket of cold water. Dousing them, he woke up in shock. "Roy, why are you here? Where's Mia?" "Young master, Mia is a traitor. I'm the one who truly cares for you." Seeing Roy's bloated body, he vomited by the bed. Roy, oblivious to his disgust, tried to comfort him. As she approached, he pushed her away in horror. Bang! Roy fell, blood pooling on the floor. I leisurely called an ambulance. He checked her pulse, then collapsed, trying to crawl away. Standing by the door, I quickly locked it. "Mia, let me out." "Ethan, I called the police. Only you and Roy were here. If you run, I can't explain it to the police." The villa was built for seclusion. No hospitals or clinics within 30 kilometers. Today was the last day of a public holiday. The highway to the villa was likely jammed. Sure enough, it took over an hour for the ambulance to arrive. The doctor declared Roy dead on the spot. He went mad trying to escape. After spending so long with Roy's corpse, his mental state was fragile. Believing himself a chosen one, now reduced to this, broke him. I watched as he sped up the mountain road, breaking through police barriers. The police soon reported his car had crashed through the guardrail. As his not-yet-divorced wife, I followed the ambulance to the scene. Though the car was wrecked, he survived. As he was loaded onto a stretcher, I leaned in. Whispering in his ear, I said a few words before he passed out. He struggled violently, and the doctors sedated him. As his wife, I stayed involved in his treatment. "Miss Shun, congratulations. Your husband is awake." It was indeed worth celebrating. He was now paralyzed from the neck down. Chapter 9. Thanking the doctor, I entered the room. In the large room, it was just the two of us. Seeing me approach, he frantically tried to move away. "What's wrong, Ethan? Didn't you always say you wanted to marry me?" I showed him my wedding ring. "Don't worry. I'll be with you for the rest of your life." He struggled but couldn't move. "Honey, the doctor said you're completely paralyzed." The happier I looked, the more despair filled his eyes. Tucking him in, I smiled down at him. "I'll visit you every day." Ignoring his incoherent shouts, I hummed a tune as I left. Mia's parents wanted me to finalize the divorce. I refused. Seeing my relaxed demeanor, they seemed to understand. They soon found a caregiver for Ethan. Facing a laid-back, money-hungry caregiver, I readily agreed. "Thank you, Mom and Dad. I trust him to take care of Ethan." Every day, I visited his room, recounting our happy memories. Over time, the hospital staff saw my love and his bad temper. Whenever I visited, he cursed me. I smiled at the concerned doctors and nurses. "He's just mentally unstable from the shock." For a paralyzed patient, making him suffer was easy. Within 6 months, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder. Pushing his bed into the psychiatric ward, I kindly showed him the news. Former Gu Xiao secretly loved his 60-year-old housekeeper for 20 years. My sister, a journalism major, came up with the sensational headline. The video I recorded, though censored, was recognizable. The internet was filled with speculation about him and Roy. For someone with his pride, it was a devastating blow. My daily visits pushed him further into madness. "Honey, I saved your parents' company." Seeing hope in his eyes, I quickly added, "Now I'm the sole owner." His eyes turned red and he managed to utter, "Nancy." Seeing him so broken, I laughed. On the stretcher, I had whispered my true identity. "Ethan, how does it feel to fall off a cliff? You survived, but I died with regrets. But don't worry, I'll be your white moonlight as you wished." Knowing the truth, he ranted, but no one believed him. His repeated outbursts convinced the doctors he was insane. I didn't need to do anything. His condition spoke for itself. Showing him my phone, I offered to call his friends. Seeing a glimmer of hope, he gave me numbers. Each friend was polite to me but made excuses not to visit him. Initially, they thought I genuinely cared for him. But as time passed, seeing him in a psychiatric ward, they realized my true intentions. Mia's parents' business thrived, and people flocked to curry favor. No one wanted to be associated with him. "Honey, it seems none of your friends can come." He understood and was speechless. "But honey, I know you and Roy were true love. Rest assured, if you die, I'll bury you together." Ignoring his struggles, I ended my visit. That night, the hospital called. He had attempted suicide but was saved in time. The doctors believed his condition had worsened. "Doctor, do your best. I'll support any treatment plan."